Hello everyone, welcome back to another sports design tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to make this sports graphic. But as always, before we get into things, I need you guys to subscribe, like, watch the entire video to get the combination to unlock the PSD. So, now that you've done that, let's get into it. Our first step will become to gradients. And we'll change our black color to a gray. And what we'll do is we'll switch it. Make sure the white, and we'll come to radial. What we'll do is make sure the white's in the middle, and we'll make it a tad little bit bigger. For today's graphic, we'll be using Trossard. So what we're going to do is we're going to place him in the middle, and just have the whites behind the background. Next, what we're going to do is create a layer underneath Trossard. Switch back to our blacks. Come to our floor shadows brush, and choose foot shadow 2. Put the shadows underneath the ball and his feet, like so, and one at the back. Now what we'll do is we'll create a new layer and clip it to Trossard, like so. Come to our soft brush again, turn our flow down to 20%, and start drawing the shadows on the ball and the feet. And just continue those shadows onto the legs, like so. Now what we'll do is we'll come to Trossard here. Increase our texture up to around 50. A little bit of contrast and exposure increase. Increase the sharpening. Come to color mixer. Decrease the oranges slightly. And the greens completely. As well as on the saturation. Our next step will become to color lookup layer. Put that above. Come to 3 strip. Turn 3 strip on. Now we'll come to our levels. And we'll just play around with our levels slightly. We can just see the difference that makes. Now what we'll do is we'll create 2 new layers. Turn them to overlay. Name them W and B. And again, just do our usual color correction. So we'll start with our whites. Draw them in. Now we've done our whites, we'll switch to our blacks. And draw our shadows in. And already we can see the difference that makes on the face. Now what we'll do is we'll group this together and move it down slightly. Sorry, move it up slightly. We'll duplicate this Trossard layer, bring him down, and flip it vertical. Bring it down to here, and now we'll make a layer mask. Come to our soft brush again, turn the opacity back up and the flow down. Now what we'll do is we'll slowly mask away the bottom part and a little bit of the ball, just to make that glass-like effect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move Trossard slightly back up, just so the feet are touching so it looks like a complete glass reflection. Now we'll come back onto our main Trossard layer, double click on the layer to bring up this panel, and choose Outer Glow. Decrease the size and the opacity, just because we want a little bit of a burst behind him. And for our last 2 steps, what we're going to do is drag and drop the Arsenal logo in, put it top left corner, like so. Press Ctrl Shift Alt and E, convert it to a smart object, come up to camera raw filter, and start playing around with that camera raw filter. So what we're going to do is increase the clarity, contrast, and a little bit of the exposure. We're also going to add some grain and a little bit of vignetting. But again, it increases the exposure a little bit. Come to color grading. We're going to add some little bit of reds in to it. like so. And there we go. That's how we make this sports graphic. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, like, comment what you see next. See ya. everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be showing you how to make this football graphic. As always, watch through the entire duration of the video and like, subscribe, comment and tell me what you want to see next. Let's get into it. Today we'll be working with James Maddison. So what I'm going to do is drag and drop his render from Footy Renders into the PSD file, and we'll just scale him appropriately. And again, just because we want the Leicester colors, we'll drag and drop the Leicester logo in, grab the blue and the yellow, make the background blue, like so. And now what we're going to do is create a new layer, come to pen tool, make sure we've got path selected, and start making some triangles. Next, we're going to continue making the triangles, and they're going to be yellow. And we'll just quickly duplicate them, flip them horizontally, and just keep placing them around the graphic. And we'll skew a few of them, like so. And now again, duplicate it and put it to the other side. With this one, what you want to do is we're going to put all of them behind this Madison, and then we're going to duplicate it once more, flip horizontal, and put this one in the top left corner, but we're going to skew it a different direction and a little bit of a different sizing. Put it in the corner, like so. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come down to below where Madison is, create a new layer, switch our colors to black and our flow back up to 100. Come to our foreshadow brush, which you can find in one of my previous videos. Come to foot shadow 2, because our light source is coming from the left, and create our foot shadows, like so. Very simple and very realistic. Now what we're going to do is create a new layer, clip it onto Madison, get our black brush, make it smaller, turn our flow down to around 15 to 20%, and start drawing on the shadows on the base of the legs and feet. And if you want to take this one step further, you can also draw the shadows onto the kit, like so, which also makes the image look a lot more realistic, considering there is no light source coming from the front, it's only coming from the back. We'll just continue to shadow in the kit. And a part of the hands and a little bit of the face. And already show the difference that makes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come to James Maddison, go to filter, go to camera raw filter, come up to texture, turn up to around 70, our contrast slightly up and our exposure up to around 25, and decrease the saturation a tiny little bit. Come to shadows, increase the shadows, increase the sharpening. And now also what we'll do is we'll come to hue and we'll increase the oranges to around 44. And again, we can already see the difference that makes. Like so, there we go. There's the massive difference that makes to the image. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come to color lookup, clip it, change it to 3 strip, turn the opacity down to around 50%. Our next step is going to be create 2 layers, name them W and B. If you've watched all my previous tutorials, you would have seen this. And as always, again, make sure you watch the full duration of the video to get the PSD, and so you guys can help me out as well. Our next step will turn the flow up to 100, turn the opacity down to around 29% for our whites, and we'll draw over the highlights of the image. Again, just to accentuate this, you want to always take your time with it, but just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to quickly run over it because it will usually take half an hour to get these things perfect, and I don't want to keep you guys waiting for that long. Again, just quickly drawing over the highlights. Now we'll change it to our blacks and draw over the shadows. So we want to drop that right down and draw over the shadow parts of the image. You might want to bump it up slightly just to accentuate the shadows that are already there. And we can see the quick difference that makes on the image. Our next step is going to become to solid color, change it to a aqua color, change it to color, press Control I to invert the mask. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come to the eyes, and we're going to go in really small and draw the color in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come out and we'll slightly fix it just so it looks a little bit more realistic. Pressing Control on the mask, what you want to do is come to brightness and contrast, increase the brightness, and again holding the layer mask with Control, click black and white, and increase the reds. And again, for our final step, we're going to come to exposure, again holding the layer mask, make sure it's clipped, turn the exposure up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have the Leicester logo, we're going to drag it to the very, very bottom. We're going to come to distort, and we're going to change the angle of it, like so. Keep changing the angle, keep changing the angle, keep changing the angle. Increase the size of it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come to filter, distort, displace, and I'm going to change this to 50 and 50, but using one of these displacement maps that I have. I'm going to make a displacement map. You guys can make them yourself, or just find them online anywhere, or in any packs that you may have. Turn the opacity down really low, and we're just going to increase the size of it, just because we want that fox in the background. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a layer mask. With our black brush, turn the flow down to around 20%, and just draw away the sides and a little bit of the top, just because again, we want the fox mainly within the image. Our next step will be group all of the yellow triangles together. And again, we're going to come to displace, but we're going to change this to around 10, change it to dust, like so, and there we go. We can see the changes are there already. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a layer behind Madison with our whites, turn the flow back up to 100, and make a little bit of a highlight behind Madison. Now come to the very top, create a clipping mask, and slowly turn your flow down to around 40%, and draw some highlights on, like so. And we'll draw the rest of the highlights onto the top of the image, just because we've drawn shadow on the bottom part of Madison, as you can see here and here. Let's see what difference that's made. Just a little bit more of a pop. Now what we're going to do is with our text, we're going to be using the Monument Extended font, Ultra Bold, which I'll link in the description. We're going to type out Madison. Now what we're going to do is we're going to convert this to a smart object, distort, and again change the size of this so it's angled correctly. Might have to change the perspective just so it matches. It's going to take a little while to get this right. Perspective. What I'm going to do is going to make it really small, just with our normal place. Come back to distort and keep distorting it. Keep distorting it so it comes onto this angle that we want it on here, like so. There we go, we've got it now. I'm going to make it slightly smaller, have it in the middle, change over it a little bit. And now we're going to keep on distorting it so it keeps changing the angles how we want it to. We want the text a little bit bigger, we can just increase the text size, but again, we just need to keep playing around with that distort. And for our final two, we're going to have it here, just decrease a little bit. And we'll have it coming across the top for here. And a little bit on the bottom part. Now what we're going to do is we're going to group all these together. Again, come to displace. Using the same displacement map, We might just increase this slightly to around 2020 using our dust. So this is the composition done. Our next step is going to be coming to camera raw filter. Convert it to a smart object, come to filter, camera raw filter. Now what we're going to do is we're going to play around with the texture and clarity and the contrast. Pump up the exposure a little bit. I'm going to play around with the temperature. We're going to turn it to around -13. Come to our curves. We're going to make an S curve, so bring this left side up, the bottom down slightly, and this in. Increase our sharpening slightly. Now we're going to come to color grading, and we're going to turn this a little bit red for all three. Maybe blue just for our highlights. Not too much, but a little. Like so. You can just see the difference that it makes. So we'll come back to our exposure, and we're going to increase the exposure. Come to effects, increase the grain to around 20 and increase the vignette. Now with the calibration, we're just going to play around with things until they look nice. Our next step's going to be coming to what I'm going to do with this piece is that I'm going to put it in at the bottom and add a little bit in at the top. And finally, I'm going to come to color lookup and find something that works. If nothing does, then I won't choose anything. So nothing worked. I'm just going to delete that. And there we go. That's how we make this Madison graphic. If you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe, comment what you see next, watch through the duration of my previous, past, and current videos. Yeah, see ya. Hey everyone, welcome back to another sports design tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to make this sports graphic. But before we get into things, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and what you want to see next. Let's do it. First, what we're going to do is drag in the Manchester United logo. Grab the reds from either side, like so. Then we're going to come to the background, press on the plus icon to make a new layer, come up to here and create a gradient. Now that that's done, hide the Manchester United layer and make the Bruno layer reappear. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make Bruno a tiny little bit smaller, put him off to the side here, come to the shapes layer, press shape, make sure it's on shape, make a circle, and make sure it's middled. Now what we'll do is we'll come to gradient overlay, make sure our reds are still selected, change the angle, and hit reverse. Now what we'll do is we'll press outer glow, increase the size and range, or increase the range and decrease the opacity. Next, we'll select the ellipse layer, come up to Bruno, click on Bruno, and mask his head back outside the circle. Next, we'll grab our next Bruno cutout, put him there. Come to in front of the first Bruno cutout, turn your flow down to 20%. Make sure you also have a soft brush selected, not a hard brush. And make sure there's some shadowing behind, like so. Now what you do, you'll create another layer using your floor shadows brush that I gave away a few weeks ago. Turn the flow back up to 100. Make sure the shadow goes right under the heel, and you can zoom right in for this. I always like to go with 2, like so. Now that that's done, come back to your gradient layer, press rectangle, make sure you've got the red selected, come to here. Now again, get the Manchester United logo, get the yellow and a little bit of orange, come to gradient overlay with those colors selected. Do that. And again, hide the Manchester United logo. But what we'll do is we'll get a tiny little bit more red in. So I'll move this up a little bit and come to swatches. Select that red. Make sure the red's actually going to be selected. Come back to your gradient overlay. Come to here and select that red in. Now what we'll do is we'll change this to -90 because we want the reds coming up from the bottom. Just because we want a little bit more red, we will increase that, like so. Now we will do the camera raw filter for Bruno Fernandes. Increase the clarity and the contrast and the exposure. A little bit down on the saturation, but increase the sharpening to around 27. Now that that's done, come to color lookup in your adjustments tool and go with the 3-strip look. Then again, make 2 layers, make sure the clipping masks, change them to overlay, title them W and B, make sure you have your white and black brush tool selected, change it to a soft brush, turn the opacity down to around 20 to 30%. We will already make a new layer there. Change that to W. Come to here. With your white selected, brush over all the white areas. And you can just also make sure again they're set to overlay. Otherwise it won't work. Now that that's done, change your opacity down to around 13% and brush all over the black and dark areas. Again, since we are happy with the camera raw filter, we will just duplicate that and add to this Bruno here, not onto the Manchester United logo, like so. And we will just increase the reds a tiny little bit more with selective color to match the other image. There we go. See the changes. Now that that's done, we'll come to behind here. We will use, not Gotham, Dharma Gothic E, if it lets me get there. Bold italic, type in Bruno, put it in front of this layer here, increase the size, skew it, make sure it's middled. Then what we'll do is we'll make this a smart object. We will distort it and push it back. Now we'll change to perspective, bring this forward, duplicate it, put this United logo at the bottom, duplicate it, and select a stroke. Add a bit of outer glow for this Bruno, just so it backs off the images. Now what we'll do is we'll grab this Manchester United logo, bring it to the bottom, enlarge it pretty heavily, come down to the bottom, select luminosity, turn down the opacity, and come to soft brush, turn your opacity back up and your flow back down. Make sure you've got black selected, and hide out the sides. Now that that's done, we'll grab an image of Old Trafford, Now that we've grabbed our image of Old Trafford, again, we'll enlarge it, put the backing of it there, increase the luminosity, turn down the opacity, and brush to out all the parts we don't want in it. And just increase the opacity a tiny little bit. Select the black and white layer and clip it to the layer. Now that that's done, again, we'll put the Manchester United logo back in again. Put it in at the top left corner. Come to this Bruno layer. Make sure we've got our 3 strips selected. So come up to color lookup, clip it, 3 strip, like so. And again, we will do our color correction. WB, make sure it's set to overlay. Select our brush tool, soft brush, turn the flow back up and the opacity down, and color in the white and black areas. Once you've done that, color in the dark areas. Like so. Now that that's done, we're going to fix up the lighting on this Bruno. Turn the flow down to around 20%. Come down to the bottom and decrease the flow a lot, up to around 7, and do some shadowing on the kit and shorts. And we can see the difference that makes already. Same for this Bruno as well. There we go. Now what we'll do, now the main composition is done, we will Control Shift Alt and E everything, make a smart object, come up to camera raw filter and play around with the camera raw filter. Increase the clarity, the contrast and the exposure a tiny little bit, and we'll add a heap of grain and a little bit of vignette. Now what we'll do is we'll again add a color lookup layer and find something that works. Can't find anything that works, so there we go. That's how you make this. Well, I can't find anything that works, so that's how you make this sports graphic design tutorial and graphic. If you've enjoyed this video, again, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and tell me what you want to see next. See ya.